Right now I'm at home in Kuala Lumpur.
My name is Danish Aiman and currently I'm in Kelantan.
My name is Muhammad Hadi Zulfakar bin Mazin and currently I'm in Negeri Sembilan.
My name is Muhammad Zafran and I am currently in Selangor.
My name is Nur Amira Syahira and currently in Selangor.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Amin bin Rashidi. I'm currently situated in Hulu Langat, Selangor.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. My name is Nurul Sharina binti Rosman and currently I'm at Shalam, Selangor.
And my teammates and I will be discussing on the urban squatters in Malaysia.
We will present on the urban squatters in Malaysia.
Present about urban squatters in Malaysia. Thank you.
We will present on the urban squatters in Malaysia.
We will present on urban squatters in Malaysia.
We will present on urban squatters in Malaysia.
I present to you about the urban squatters in Malaysia.
So stay tuned.
So, do you guys know about urban squatters? Urban squatters can be defined as a settlement activity or occupation or construction of illegal or unplanned buildings on land belonging to other parties, whether on government or private land. Do you guys want to know more about urban squatters? Stay tuned with us and let's go.
Next, we're moving on to the roles of different parties towards squatters issues. There are three main parties that involve in these issues, which are government, local government, and society. As for the government of Malaysia has continuously come up with various programs and initiatives in order to abolish squatters issues. Government has carries the biggest role in combating these issues because federal government has the power to formulate the law and policy in addressing this crucial matter. Federal Territory Planning Act Section 21 has mentioned that it forbids any development of building without planning permission. This includes the squatters' huts development. Other than that, under the National Land Code 1965, Section 4 to 5 has stated that it is a crime to build any building or run any activities on state land, reserve land, and also mining land without legal agreement. In the period of 1960s to 2010s, the government of Malaysia has rehoused almost all of the squatters community in Kuala Lumpur. In 2006, under the 9 Malaysian plan, Malaysian government has targeted a total of 709,400 houses to be built up, which included the Housing Assistance Program (PPRT), low cost and low medium cost housing. It has shown that the government of Malaysia is truly making a move and effort to provide sufficient housing for the citizen regardless of the income level. This is including for the squatters. Next, local government. In Malaysia, local government is the third tier level of government power, and their responsibility is given by Local Government Act 1976 and under supervision of Housing and Local Government Ministry. They also work under direct order of their respective state government. Local government is the most important part in resolving squatter issue, as they were the administrator of the area. They know every development details and they work closely with public. Under National Housing Policy by federal government, local government were given tasks to coordinate the implementation of various projects to relocate these illegal squatters, especially those in urban areas, into more secure and comfortable housing, such as the low-cost housing. PPR. So during this implementation of policy, local government will facilitate identification process of squatters' residents in their jurisdiction and administrated the application of squatters' residents to be relocated to the nearest PPR. For example, Kuala Lumpur City Council (DBKL) has facilitated the relocation of urban squatters in Pandan Jaya to PPR nearby the area. Apart from that, the local government also work closely with their state government, since each state has their own strategy to overcome this problem. This include the developing strategic relocation area, eradicate and demolish illegal immigrant squatters, especially in government land. Next, the third party is the society. Frequently, water and electricity supply issues in the squatters area were not sufficient. These areas provide the communities with a cheap, free and convenient venue. Squatter settlements do not have sanitation and garbage disposal facilities. Therefore, the squatters use the river as both of a source of water and a way of disposal the waste. So there are massive amount of pollution that has been created until today, and because of that, there are some NGOs formulate to save the environment. This is where the society play their roles, which is to educate the people to appreciate the ecosystem and also the environment. It is because the degradation of habitats in the river areas has been done not only by the squatters but also by other human activities, and it has an impact on urban areas such as floods, decline of water quantity and quality, tropical disease and pipe flow. So the society roles can be seen by educating them, especially the squatters community, through the NGOs like the Environmental Protection Society Malaysia (EPSM) Green Campaign, where the main objective is to monitor all the activities that will harm the ecosystem. The PR roles in the organization of EPSM will help to advertise the organization and at the same time will help to raise awareness among the public.
Since we already learned about roles of government and local government, let's see how they actually done it in the facts and evidence. At federal government level, they has introduced National Housing Policy as a statement to address various housing issues in Malaysia. This is include People Housing Program or PPR to resolve squatters issue in urban area. As you can see, this is some of the example of PPR unit that has been built in main urban areas in Malaysia. As of 2019, more than 17,000 units has been built and another 40,000 units of PPR is under construction. If you look at the statistic, more than 30% reduction of squatters in Malaysia in which they are being relocated since the introduction of PPR project. Even more, the former squatters could also purchase those houses that are being relocated since the houses are being affordable. At state government level, not only they cooperate with federal government in implementing the federal PPR project, They also came out with their own strategic plan or own housing program, since each state may face this situation differently. States, especially with rapid urbanization growth, have introduced their own low-cost housing program for rental and ownership to give more option in relocating squatters. As you can see in the right, this is some of the example that has been introduced in Johor State Government and Selangor State Government. This is some of the news on how state government handle urban squatters by providing them home and also offering scheme to help them continue living in the urban areas. Lastly, at local government level, they act as implementer and enforcer for both federal and state government, and the one who actually facilitate the relocation effort of the squatters to their new home. Not only that, local government has actively cooperated with various parties to avoid squatters trespassing people's land and demolishing illegal immigrant squatters that has caused various problems, especially in urban areas. In the statistic of local government effort in relocating squatters in Selangor, Petaling Jaya City Council, a major urban area, and Sabak Bernam District Council has recorded 0 squatters in their area, showing there has been a successful effort done by local government.
We also have conducted a simple survey research for our issue, which is urban squatters issue in Malaysia. The article was chosen because it is related to our issue, which is the urban issue itself. This article is conducted by Yusfida Ayu Abdullah, Hazlina Amdan and Julie Van Donekwet in 2016. The title for this research is Eradicating Squatters Through Resettlement Program, a conceptual paper. This article discusses on the implementation and the initiative that has been done or that has been implemented by the government of Johor Bahru to eradicate the squatters in their state. But why they choose Johor Bahru? Johor Bahru is one of the strategic location which is suitable or that has been shown the significance of the urban area in Malaysia.
However, what is the other reasons on why they chose Johor Bahru as a strategic place to study the urban squatters issue in Malaysia? The reason of Johor Bahru that has been chosen for this study is because Johor Bahru has the highest number of squatters in Malaysia. It is more higher than Melaka and Negeri Sembilan. Do you know about the issue of urban squatters in Johor Bahru? Stay tuned and let's listen it right now.
Squatters in Johor Bahru has led to a various problems such as interpersonal criminal and social among the society. Furthermore, squatters area also has a bad environment condition, poor sewage system, and lack of safety as it has planned housing.
That is the urban squatters issue in Johor. However, what is the initiative taken by government of Johor to overcome the squatters issue in Johor Bahru?
The squatters area is illegal and the Johor Bahru government has a full power to overcome the squatters area. So, as for it, the government of Johor Bahru has implemented a zero squatters program, which is a initiative from the Johor Bahru government to eradicate this problem.
In order for Johor to aim for zero squatter zones by next year, they have implemented zero urban squatters in their state. Zero urban squatters has many core programs under it. We will see one by one and we'll decide whether the zero urban squatters programs is success or not. Stay tuned and let's go.
The government of Johor has implemented many programs under the Zero Squatters program in urban area in Johor Bahru. One of the program is PPR, or well known as Project Perumahan Rakyat. So basically, what is PPR and does it succeed to eradicate or to overcome the squatters in the urban area of Johor? So, are you ready to look on the PPR? So let's go.
PPR in Johor Bahru is a government program for relocating squatters and meeting the needs of low-income housing or B40. The National Housing Department, Ministry of Housing and local governments are leading implementing agencies for PPR projects throughout Malaysia. PPR consists of two categories, which is PPR rent and PPR own. Both categories will use the low-cost housing planning and design specification set by the National Housing Standards for low-cost real estate housing. However, in contrast, based on the analysis done on the low-cost housing price, the low-cost resettlement house have high price and expensive. Most of the low-cost house offered price more than £30,000, and it is not include the construction cost of the infrastructure. This cost, the price of the house will become more than being stated. This initiative is not successfully helped the squatters to own the house, as the squatters resident itself have financial problem to buy any low-cost house that is not affordable for them. In other words, I can conclude that they will choose to stay at the squatters rather than move to this house. That's it for the PPR. We will move to the other program that has been implemented in the Zero Squatters in Johor Bahru. Stay tuned and let's go.
The other program that be implemented by state government is resettlement program under the supervision of District and Land Office. District and Land Office will identify areas that owned by government that can be used for the resettlement program. The state government then will build the low-cost house including basic facilities and infrastructure at that identified areas. However, from the findings at the low-cost house under resettlement program, some of the owner has moved out from the house and rent them to the immigrant, outsider and foreigner as they do not have money to buy the low-cost house. This shows that the program have not met the objective as it is not affordable and people have to rent the house in order to get money to pay the rent fees. They choose to live at other places instead of live in the house which provide better quality of life. Moreover, the income of the target group that stay at this low-cost house, which are low-income group and squatters, are not enough and they take advantage of this opportunity to generate income to pay monthly rent fees. Let's see the third initiative done by the state government of Johor. The initiative then is through the grants of temporary occupation license to stay at the government's land. This government's land is the lands reserved for the future development such as road. Under this initiative, the squatters can make their residential at this land. This allows them to stay legally on the government's land. This initiative has been done as the squatters usually take the advantage from the vacant land to build buildings for their residential and open small business to generate income and support their lives. This is one of the best platform that state government can provide to help them to have place to stay and avoid them be sued for trespass the land. From the finding, the fourth initiative that has been implemented is under Public Housing Program. This program is as a platform that aligns with Zero Squatter policy. Through this program, the condition of resettlement area around Malaysia has been studied, investigated and recorded. Thus, the new housing policy for rental and ownership for the squatters has been introduced to help low-income groups and people live as squatters. However, there are issues happen involving squatters, such as squatters that involved in settlement redevelopment can move to low-cost flat directly. This is because the squatter redevelopment process takes time to be developed. Moreover, the resident will only move if the low-cost flats are already finished.
Okay, move on to the challenges faced by government. First is the squatters community are unwillingly to move out. This is because their reluctance due to the accessibility of the public transport, lack of job opportunities in the new areas, and hard to adjust themselves in the new environment. This factor become the major barrier for Malaysian government to relocate them. Because at the end of the day, government get affected as they are unable to proceed to the state level. Secondly is inadequate number of housing units. So the government focus on the low housing is one efficient economic policy, but not enough number of units that has been completed. That means the number of squatters is bigger than the number of housing that provided by the government. Some scholars agree on allocating of financial resources to this housing, but contradict with some economists. Migration to the cities become increased, and the population of poor urban also increase. Move on to the local government challenges in resolving the squatters issue. So their main issue is the attitude of the squatters itself. This is because the attitudes of the squatters being stubborn and resist any local government initiative, making it harder for them to relocate the settlement. They need the court to evict them. This is because when we need the court, that means there's many procedure and process we need to go and make it harder and make it the process long. So causing the trouble and delay in the development plan in the area. Also, their laziness and lack of cleanliness attitude in the main contributor of the river pollution that will be explained more in the society challenges. So the local government bear the burden of million ringgit measure to clean the rubbish and the waste released by the squatters to the river. So moving on to the squatters issue and challenges faced by the society, where the destruction of the ecosystem in river areas by the squatters. So just like we mentioned before, the residents choose to stay in squatters area and reject the suggestion through the government because they thought that would be burdened with financial commitments, where they were required to take over the units with no compensation was given. So they also need to purchase the low cost unit with the loan facilities that worth a few thousand per unit. So they are resistant to move and they are resistant to change. To move out from the squatters area will make the river pollution getting worse day by day. This is because the degrading of the quality of the river water by the human activity has always been an issue of every startup community, from the government to the public, through demanding proper management for the river. This is where the NGOs rules to educate them regarding the good environment will bring the good environment to them. It might be hard at first, and it might be hard to them since the squatters don't even agree with the government to move out at the first place. So they thought they need to listen to the NGOs, where the NGOs have no power at all to remove them and to allocate them to other place. So the destruction's consequences are not only witnesses and felt by the residents and the squatters, but also affect the whole public interest, such as conflict with the water supplies and the polluted water. So this bad behavior and practice should be tackled and in positive principles, such as respecting the environment should be inculcated in the heart of squatters residents. So this is the NGOs' roles to educate the squatters from the beginning of their initiative.
In Kuala Lumpur, the number of squatters was also high despite the various policies formulated by the City Hall to mitigate the problem of squatters. The City Hall's Town Planning Committee had issued guidelines for planning and development to ensure that the Kuala Lumpur Structured Plan housing strategy is achieved. During the 10th Malaysia Plan in the year of 2011 to 2015, the government implemented various housing programs to provide sufficient and affordable housing for the poor as well as for the low and middle income households. The key question here is whether the government has adequate set of policies to combat the squatters issues and problem in Malaysia. Based on the policies and programs made by the government, there is no specific policies to eliminate squatters, but strategies through the building of low-cost housing for low-income group. Therefore, the government and related agencies should take a serious action together to resolve this squatter problem from increasing. Many efforts were carried out by the government since the beginning of the 5-year Malaysia plan. The early guidance was to reduce the number of poverty in Malaysia. Poverty had driven the rural communities to migrate and settle in the urban areas. The government had therefore introduced many policies and schemes to eradicate squatters, hence started the low-cost housing programs, including the provisions of public housing. Even though the zero squatter by 2005 mission was not fully achieved, it was extended to the year 2020. However, the delivery of low-cost housing could not meet the target. The federal and state government have taken more systematic measure by imposing a quota percentage for low-cost housing for any housing scheme development. Nevertheless, Malaysia is still striving to eliminate squatters and provide a decent home for everyone. Malaysia has an abundance of housing policies and programs, yet there are still squatters in the urban areas. This call for further investigation, especially into the effectiveness and implementations of the policies. The Malaysian government should obtain a new plan that is going to take Thailand as a reflection or example where they had created an amazing solution to settle these squatters issues. The Thailand government introduced the Ban Mang Kong program through the Community Organizations Development Institute, the CODI, in 2003. It was a program for the government targeting slum communities that are in the urban areas. The program was an important action in the process of transformations. Additionally, the Thai's national housing authorities had also supported these squatters upgrading programs through the help from the World Bank during the 1980s. Through these programs, about 30,000 to 50,000 of families in Thailand were improved. The Thai government formed the Urban Communities Development Office in order to help the community organizations through loans for new housings as well as the improvements or upgrading of the income generations. From 37,000 people of the poor community, about 30% of the community were squatters and another 70% rented the land which they stayed for a short-term contract. These communities were under the risk of evictions, which is about 70 to 80% of the residents are not able to pay the conventional government housing programs. There were two new programs introduced by the Thai government for the urban poor in January 2003. Firstly, the Ban Mang Kong secure housing programs, which required government funds in terms of development subsidies and housing loans to improve the present urban poor communities in enhancing their land, housing, environment, and basic services that were fulfilled by COD. And secondly was the Pan Oa Anton program, where the National Housing Authority Designs of Thailand built and sold flats at houses at subsidies rates to the lower income household who managed to pay for rent to own payment of 25 to 37 US dollar per month, that is equivalent to 108 ringgit and 79 cents to 161 ringgit and 1 cent.
As you can see, this is Bangkok, Thailand squatters look like. It's like, you see, there's like a bunch of slums here, and this is how Kuala Lumpur squatters look like. This is where it's located. It's in Kampung Baru, very near to Chowkit and very near to Kuala Lumpur. This KLCC building, a main tourist attractions. And can you imagine in the middle of city, there's like a big slums in urban area. See? Can you imagine a house and like full with garbage, where they don't have a proper place, a proper dustbin to throw their trash and garbage? So this is very near to Kampung Baru. At the back there, KLCC. So can you imagine? This is how urban area in Kuala Lumpur, which is Kuala Lumpur squatters look like.
Therefore, it can be concluded from the Ban Mang Kong housing program in Thailand that the authorities, politicians, and other groups in the city should be involved in negotiations with the urban poor group to address the city's housing problems. Moreover, the Thai government and the public support the program for the poor communities. Hence, we can see that the communities or the people in Thailand are united to resolve the squatter problems. And it is proven that the Thai government encouraged the squatters community to get involved with the constructions of housing projects, forming their cooperative and take the community organizations development institute the CODI loan to pay the land they had purchased or granted them grant for 30 years of lease. Malaysia can follow these strategies in resolving squatters issues where the community are not fully dependent on the government to solve the housing problems. Thank you.
To conclude our video, we have learned about urban squatters issue in Malaysia and also role of various parties in this issue. Through facts and finding, we have learned how government is committed to resolve this issue, and also through research finding, we have learned about the issue and challenges that has been arise because of during the implementation process. Thus, a recommendation is also being given as an idea for improvement purpose. So that's all. On behalf of my group, I would like to say thank you very much for spending your time in watching our video, and also wishing in advance Selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri. And if you have any question, feel free to ask. Thank you very much.